My name is Artisan Virgil, and this is a vanilla Minecraft survival multiplayer server. After a long break from the game, I don't know, maybe close to a year, I've come back. Just after 4 years with the game, you get a little burnt out. I put a post up on Reddit looking for a server. Someone suggested I apply here. I did, very quickly got on, and immediately have enjoyed it. People have all been very nice, been able to play with them. Otherwise, all of them are YouTubers. I'll have them linked below. Or not all of them, but the vast majority. I've enjoyed a lot of the building styles I've seen so far. However arbitrary that is. But it's a nice touch. I've been on for, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, something like that. I started by building a house way down this way. We'll take a look at that later. But very quickly took over building spawn with the help of user ZebraMonkey85. And I just call him Zebra or Pat. And a lot of other users have been helping too. Dropping off materials, because this takes a lot of materials. And some folks I'm sure have been helping building. I'll pop on and I'll see something, something added on to it. I would say vast majority of this, though, I've been doing. Pretty much this whole design, yeah. Inspiration to it, if I can find it, I'll link to it below, but basically 4 or 5 pictures I looked at got kind of an idea for the sort of dark wood against the quartz background with the stone brick framing. That's definitely inspired by something I saw. This kind of gate design was inspired by a very different sort of large gate image. This whole building in general, the shape of it was kind of laid out by the user I mentioned before, Zebra, and just it got a little bit tweaked, but the general idea of the sort of U-shaped with the courtyard being the server spawn, which I believe the dead center is right here. And hopefully in the future we'll fill this up with water or other sort of non-spawnable blocks. And so they'll pretty much only just sort of spawn right in front of the building, generally looking, or just generally around here. Inside isn't a whole lot right now. I've kind of roughly laid out some rooms, but nothing's definite. Like over here, I kind of figure maybe like a meeting room, just something for, I don't know, if we ever have any sort of server get together, something to video, a nice place to video. Also a nice place maybe to put up like everyone's banners if we get those. Something for this, kind of bland window to look in on. And I figure on the other side, if there's going to be another big kind of empty window, the other side can be like a library or something. Tall bookcases always looks good. Over here, no idea. It'll probably just be empty. We'll figure out something for players to be able to put inside rooms. Whether that means shops or rooms or who knows what. Or maybe, they can decide what purpose it's for. This little corner thing, I was kind of thinking of having like a donation room. Just like single floor up to, let's put up the interface, up to just like about here. Just like a little place for people to drop off stuff or pick up spare materials, just especially if we end up getting users kind of later on, just so that they can quickly jump in. After you play survival 100 times, sometimes the first few days grind you don't want to deal with. This central area will obviously, the grand entrance. It'll be the stairs up to the second floor. It'll be the path out to the back. It'll probably, due to how this is built, go up 4 or 5 floors. Probably just 4, if that. I would kind of like this room to go up all the way, if possible, if that can be done in a nice looking way. Great big wide hallways, so that, we can maybe have like 2 thick walls, so we can have different colored walls on either side. No idea what the rest of this would be for. Another nice kind of maybe over-the-top touch is I was thinking about sort of carving out, like under here, sort of sewer ways. I have no idea what use that would be, but I don't know, my single-player games, I can't help but always build these grand sewer systems. Basically just stone tubes with water flowing through it. But enough about that. Let's go run towards my first house. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about maybe what I plan to do on the server, or what I've been noticing around the server. We already have, I don't know who put this up, but this has been my food source, so I made a automatic chicken cooker. This seems to be sort of the first sort of buildings that went up on the server. I believe I've seen the users Sky, Cody, maybe EXO. I feel like I've seen a few people over this way. I'm not sure exactly who all. My house down this way, I went a little bit further out so I could justify building a bit bigger. This was sort of the first thing I built, so it's a little bit cruder, a little bit uglier. It didn't have all the resources or tools. Inspired a bit by a tutorial put up by someone on Reddit. If I, might link it, might not. But just having that central aqueduct and then sort of buildings put off of it. The whole thing, looking back at this, especially after working on Spawn, seems a little ugly, so I get tempted to just tear down everything and start again. But I'll see. Maybe I can just sort of, make it look a little nicer. All my basic starting farm. Just a few animals this way. Trying to keep population low so I don't lag anything out. Portal all set up. If you go into the Nether right now, everything, because all the portals all have their, specific 1:8 ratio set up. There's like a bunch of portals very close to each other, but they all work fine. Down here is just my mine. I always just jump down and leave a cart down there so I can ride it back up and then send it back down. I have my temporary storage set up over here, kind of tucked into the wall. I don't even have like a proper enchanting table. I've just been using the one near spawn. One of my favorite things though about living over here is I'm very close to another user, Magic. I'll have his full username listed below. He is right over here. We don't have a proper path yet, but probably will eventually. I like that he has a kind of a similarly like kind of low-tech looking style. It's a lot of wood, a lot of stone brick. A lot of people I think seem to be shying away from stone brick now, but it's nice to see that he's willing to work with all this stuff. And another encouragement to rebuild my whole house, because this is already looking amazing. I think my favorite thing about this is the asymmetrical build. Walking down, it's not just the same thing on every side. It's kind of my biggest concern with Spawn, is that so far everything is perfectly symmetrical. And, that just gets so visually boring. This was nothing for a long time. I didn't know, what he was planning to build. It was just, 2 pillars of logs, and now it's already looking fantastic. Not sure who it is. I saw someone working on paths earlier. I figure we'll start carving out, sections good for, pretty generous sized buildings. If I had any sort of say on what kind of, on like an influence of what went on here, I would hope for kind of densely designed buildings, not a whole lot of grass and lawn, especially near, the spawn building. But, I mean, we'll see what people do. It really should be up to whoever builds what they do. We have, I don't know what around 14 people, something like that. And there's Pudding. I saw him on earlier today. And so it's hard to say actually how much clutter we'll get around here, but I guess that's the thing about Spawn, is you let it expand over time, depending on when people come and go. And we can, people can end up making multiple buildings, make their spawn house, make spawn stores, maybe make a whole market area. I was considering whether or not to have sort of this central courtyard area be a little bit kind of markety because of how big it is. But I actually think this central thing breaks it up enough to keep it kind of visually interesting. And, keeping it clean sort of gives it that sort of old English estate look, whereas having market stalls might kind of make that a little bit more confused. Uh, in case you're wondering, this, all this granite here just spells out the server name, which is Skyline SMP. Using a, what is it, 04B something or another font. I considered going bigger or doing something crazy like having like a wood framing over the whole courtyard and then having like in white letters held up by that framing, say like Skyline SMP or something. But that struck me as a little bit too big and distracting, and it would kind of break this, almost like fisheye kind of effect this courtyard gives, which is kind of helped by the fact, in case you can't tell, the building actually slowly slopes outwards, and so it gives it a much kind of bigger look than it actually is. I think it's like something like 19 to like 23 blocks wide, and then that back section is about like 25, 29 blocks thick. So, I mean, it's not really that huge of a building. It just looks big and gets a lot of detail. And hopefully, sort of like these side bits here make like this window look bigger because it has these little tiny intricate details, contrasting with just this sort of big blink. The sides here, I mean, just like the rest of the building, I actually don't have a whole lot of plan. Aside from the main gate, I didn't really plan out a whole lot. Zebra had designed some of the windows and stuff. I had designed some windows and stuff, and we put those around, but definitely no blueprint. The sides, aside from like putting some of the standard windows, like this one, just along the corner here, I kind of think I might want to leave this whole back area blank. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, that's a good point. I should probably have this hallway continued here to have an entrance over here. But leave this kind of blank and just let the users design it. Give some other people a little bit of a say. I feel kind of bad in a way that I stepped in. I believe Sky was working on Spawn originally, but didn't really have a whole lot of an idea. And I just kind of stormed in and took over. So maybe, by letting those sides be open, I'll let the other players have a little bit more, at least something more input. Back here, probably have, a door on either side, a good amount of flow without it being another proper entrance. I know that door is gigantic, especially considering that this building really isn't that huge, but it just looks too cool. Let's see, anything else to talk about? I think that's about it for Spawn. I guess I can talk about my sort of plans for the future of this, playing on this server. After I finish Spawn, I'll probably, I don't know if I want to, I may even kind of forego my little windmill base over there and just let it be what it is, and go out and actually start on a proper base. And not quite sure what kind of biome I want for that, but I'll probably go for something of a similar, if not kind of bigger scale. Something with a lot of quartz. I would probably go a little bit more fantasy, if still kind of, medieval. I don't know what to call this, sort of. I want to say French medieval style, but I would have no idea if that's accurate or not. But sort of like a fantasy thing, having maybe sort of floating sections supported by like, blue crystals of ice and glass, blue glass or whatever. No idea what kind of, it's tempting to put that in a biome like a desert or a savanna, but then all the grass around there would just be so horribly ugly. Oh, actually, I can go and show off the zombie farm while I talk a bit more. Have zombie farm over here, I think mostly set up by Sky, but I could be wrong about that. At least that's the person I see, hanging out there all the time. I know someone was talking about setting up, it looks like we're going to set up like a Death Games on a server, sort of like the, Etho style building. And yeah, this would obviously be a temporary staircase. I guess depending on when it gets kind of more built up in the area, they can work on a more proper entrance. There's the spawning chamber. I guess, dark in here, not to let it get in the glass, but they could probably figure out a way to light up without it getting too far in there. All well set up. I have no idea what the tubes look like, so I don't know how fast it goes, where I guess it probably just falls down there, flows, pops up there, and then carries over and drops. And I was not aware they use I guess like a lava slice for the softener. I wasn't aware how well that worked, that it actually dropped them down to like the one hit. Maybe they have it timed with something else. I like, though, that to sort of complement the mob evader, they have a lot of water flows going around. And I like just the kind of natural, broken down look anyways. Let's see, this banner here, actually I got inspired by a post on Reddit. I think it was like reversed coloring. But I saw someone else on the server have a similar looking banner, I think. I don't know whether it was somehow mine had, a copy of mine had ended up over there, or they had been inspired by the same post. If they have, then I'll probably end up switching over to a sort of a leaves on a vine sort of look that I like. I just kind of like the two-tone color of that, and leaves on the vine one has 3-4 colors, kind of. But yeah, no particular plans to do regular videos, just whatever seems interesting, whatever comes up, periodically, just to show off progress on whatever buildings I'm doing for the server, links to whatever members are around at the time. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you again when I see you.